Hey sis. I was trying to see where the comments would come up. I'm trying to pull it up on my other computer just to make sure I have everything going. Thank you for joining. Hey Taylor. Excited. Oh, it's my computer. It's okay. Okay, guys. We're almost there. We are almost ready to get started. We're gonna wait a little bit to let some other people join and then we'll jump right on in. Hi, Princess. I'm not sure if it's Princess or Princess. Hey, girl. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Nanny. All right. I'll give y'all like maybe 3 more minutes. We'll jump in. I am not gonna hold you guys all night. I'll be trying to get in and out, child. Hi, Gail. Okay, either or. Okay, I got you. I want to make sure I pronounce your name right. I don't want you going off on me in the comments now. Hey, Lee. Y'all, this is my very first time, hey Nanny, ever going live on either Facebook, Instagram, all of the things. So we rolling with the punches today. We rolling with it. We're gonna get through it. I'm excited. I'm glad you guys are here. And we're gonna talk about it. Today we're talking about trimming your hair. I know I put natural hair because obviously I'm natural. So we're just gonna talk through some tips. I wanna hear from you. I want to hear from, what are you doing to keep your hair healthy, making sure that you're trimming your ends. And hopefully I can answer some of those questions that you have. These are literally the best products, right? We're going to talk about it. I'm obsessed with this line. Obsessed. You want me to trim your hair, Leak? I can do that. I can do that for you. It is so important. All right. 1 more minute. We'll start right at 7:05. Based off of what I see in front of me, it's 7:04. And we'll get into it. So please, guys, jump in. Let me know what you're thinking. All of the things. I have about four talking points to talk about. All right, so let's go. Thank you guys for joining. My name is Raven. I go by A Raven on all social media platforms, which is Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, and I also go by Raven_Raven on TikTok. Make sure you follow me for any other advice, tips, tutorials, all of the things. I'll be there to help you. All right, so today we are definitely discussing trimming your hair, how important it is to trim your hair, making sure that you are maintaining, whether you do have straight hair, you have relaxed hair, or if you are wearing your natural curls like me, you want to make sure that you are maintaining that length. All right. So first, I just want to know if you guys know, like, what's the reason we should trim our ends? Like, why are we trimming our ends? Let me hear what you were thinking. What have you been taught? What do you do? What if your cosmetologist taught you? Like, why are you trimming your ends? And I'll tell you why I trim my ends. And then one reason that I always hear that's kind of true, but not all the way true. Oh, you guys are still coming in. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Bridget. Hey, Rosalind. All right, as you guys are still coming in, I'll let you know the number one reason I always hear people are trimming their ends because they want their hair to grow. All right, so do I personally believe that trimming your ends will help your hair grow? Not necessarily, but what it does, See, Michelle, you said the same thing. What it does is help maintain healthy hair, right? Exactly. You have these split ends, you're having this damaged hair, and you want to make sure that you're getting rid. Yes, Tanish, you are really wanting to get rid of those dead ends in order to retain the length. All right. So retaining that length is overall going to make your hair healthy, which will promote hair growth. All right. So your hair grows from what? The roots. Obviously, the ends of your hair is the oldest. Trim them. If you want your hair to grow and you want to keep, I know it's like, I don't want to let go of my ends. That's it. I want to keep the length. But if you don't cut those ends, it's going to eventually break off. Breakage is not what we want. Okay. So I'm going to, let's see, get rid of the split ends. Absolutely. To prevent them. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that is the reason. So does cutting your ends or trimming your ends make your hair grow? Not necessarily, but in a counterpart, it kind of goes in side by side by maintaining that length, and that promotes hair growth. So as long as you are keeping your hair maintained, making sure that you are cutting off those split ends so that it doesn't continue to split and break off to the hair shaft, you're doing a great job. That is what makes your hair grow. Everyone, hairs grows. Unless you have some type of underlying disease, your hair is going to grow. All right. I don't want you thinking, oh my gosh, if I don't trim my ends, my hair isn't going to grow. That's not true. Will it break off? Possibly. What that time looks like for everyone is a little bit different. So let's talk about timing. How often, or when you were younger, let's talk about when you were younger, how often did you trim your ends? And now that you're older, how often are you going to the salon or trimming your ends yourself? So I know when we were younger, we would always, you have these steady appointments. You're making sure you're there every Saturday, whether your ends are trimmed or not. What were you taught? How often are you supposed to actually go in and get your ends trimmed? I'm trying, sis. I'm trying to speak the facts, honey. Okay, so never. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're going. So we don't want to do never. 6 to 8 weeks. Okay, with the creamy crack when you were younger. Okay. All right. So ideally, if you're reading up and you're reading different articles, it's good. And it always says usually like 6 to 8 weeks. Leading up probably 4 to 5 times a year to get your ends trimmed. That is what you will read. That is what the cosmetologist will tell you. And that's probably something that you should go ahead and go with. I'm trying to see. Oh, you guys are coming in fast. You didn't when you were younger. Really? Okay, so I want to go ahead and talk about what Denisha said because I think that's super important. Like I said, people are always going to say 6 to 8 weeks, 4 to 5 times a month. I only trim my hair 1 to 2 times a year because I know my hair and I know when I need it. That's not saying that's going to work for everybody, but for me personally, I only trim my ends 1 to 2 times a year. 6 times a year may be what you need. That's when you'll be able to decipher. You live with yourself every day. You know what your hair looks like. You know how quickly your ends split. You know how quickly you need to trim them. Go by that. I would definitely say try to get your hair trimmed at least twice a year at minimum. Minimum at least twice a year. Now, if you decide to go more and more and more, go for it. I'm not going to stop you, baby. It is definitely important to have a regimen. I trim myself too, sis. We're going to talk about it. Okay. All right. Once a year, Madison. Same. Almost same, sis. I hear you. I believe you. All right. So when do you guys know you need a trim? So if we're waiting a couple of months, we're waiting once or twice a year. At what point are you thinking, okay, I need to go in. I need to trim my ends. I need to make sure that I am getting that health check. I'm gonna call it a hair health check. How often is that? Like, what are you looking for in your day-to-day regimen? I'll just let you know that. I'll let you know what I do. So when I know it's time for me to go ahead and get my trim, I'm noticing a lot of frizziness. I am noticing that it is taking me longer to complete my wash days because I'm having to detangle a little bit more. I'm noticing that once I'm going in and like styling my hair and washing and detangling, I'm having a lot of shedding. That's when I personally know that it's time to go ahead and trim my ends. So what are some of the things that you guys know, you notice? And if you don't notice, maybe some of the things that I just said, like maybe your hair is shedding, maybe it's taking you super long to get through wash day because you have to go through all these different detanglings. What are you thinking? Those little, ooh, I think, girl, the single strand knots. So if you don't know what a single strand knot is, it's like when you're going through your hair and you have literally one strand of hair and it's a knot. And you can't get it out because it's one strand. You cannot untangle it. Those come from split ends. Your ends are splitting and it's going around and kind of like tangling around each other and making its own knots. That is a telltale sign that it is time for a trim. You cut yours when it's heavy and no longer hold curls. Okay, my ends are dry and brittle. Yes, absolutely. So another reason, dry and brittle. So like I said, my hair gets really frizzy at the end. When I notice my hair is also frizzy, if I decided to go and blow dry my hair and I looked at it all at once, you'd be able to kind of see through the ends of my hair. That's because the pieces are breaking apart, some are falling off, some of the split ends are going up, and it looks thin. So it'll look full to the top, and all the way through the bottom, it'll start to thin out. And usually when you go to like your stylist, that's what they will cut off. But you can kind of figure that out before you even go. Brittle, shedding, detangling. And I think between the knots, the detangling, and the shedding, guys, that is a telltale sign. Go ahead and it's time to trim your ends. Now, how you decide to trim your ends is on your own. So I know one of my girls was in here earlier and she said that she goes ahead and she trims her ends herself. I do the exact same thing. And believe it or not, I've been natural for almost 10 years and I did not get trims like I should until about 3 years ago. And that's when I noticed the huge difference between my hair being hard to detangle, hard to wash. My wash days went from like a half a day to a whole day to all of 2 hours. I never spend more than an hour and a half washing my hair, and that is washing, styling. But if I'm deep conditioning, that'll add some time to it. So today, as of 2021, I trim my own hair. Do I recommend this for everyone? Absolutely not. But it's super easy. It takes maybe say 45 minutes to an hour. As long as you have some really sharp scissors, preferably some shears. So some hair shears that you can get from the store. You go to Walmart, whatever stores around you, get some. And I don't really recommend, I thought I had some scissors up here to show you. I don't really recommend the scissors that you use to like cut paper and things. But hair shears will work. And what I do is I cut my hair in twists. And I know people are saying you should not cut your hair in twists because it'll make your hair uneven, but that works for me. That works for Raven. It may not work for everyone, but I like to keep my hair in twists, freshly washed. And at the end, you'll see where it kind of gets thin. Like I said, you can kind of see through it. I will just trim that part off. I have a full video on my YouTube page if you want to go and see that. But that is how I've been trimming my hair for the past 3 years. And it's easy. It's easy. So if you guys have a different way to trim your ends, let me know. I'm going to share some other ways that I haven't tried, but I did do some research and I seen. And of course, you can always trim your hair, making sure that it is blown out, making sure that it is straight so that you have that even cut that you're looking for. Usually that's when you're going to the stylist, that's how they're going to trim your ends. So you're going to blow it out. They're going to make sure that it's super straight and they're cutting every single bit of those dead ends. And again, just so you guys know, I am not a cosmetologist. I am just a natural hair enthusiast. I love it. But this is how I use it. So, Keisha, do I cut my hair on wet or damp or dry hair? So when my hair in twists, I do it on dry hair. And the reason behind that is because that's when I can really see the difference in what my hair is looking like. When my hair is wet, it kind of just all looks the same to me unless it's super dead. So once my hair is dry, it's all twisted, I'll go back, I'll look at it, and then I'll cut that bottom piece off. And when I say that bottom piece, is again, it's the bottom piece that does not curl up with the rest of my curls. But if you're gonna blow dry your hair or straighten it, it'll be dry, and you just cut the ends, and it's probably be easier to see to do that. Another way that I recently seen is it's called Search and Destroy. It looks like it takes hours to complete, and I don't think I would ever try it. And it's literally your hair has to be completely stretched out, all of those things. Making sure that it is completely straight, looking at all of those strands, finding those pieces that are split and snipping it off. Snip, snip, snip. So that's going through every single strand of your hair. So if you have time and you're bored, maybe that's something that you want to do. That also will kind of give you the opportunity to see how damaged your hair is. Maybe it's not as damaged as you think it is. Or you can see maybe, hey, I have more split ends on my right back side than I do over here. I wonder what I'm doing back here that's different. And I also know that my hair is super thick on this side and not thick on this side. So it's different things that you can do. And then lastly, if you're not thinking about cutting your ends and just kind of want to do a dusting, you can definitely dust. And that's just going through your hair and getting those pieces that kind of stick up and fly out that are naturally going down how the rest of your hair is, and snipping that off. All right, so we have the way that I trim my ends. While my hair is completely twisted, I'll go ahead and twist it while it is dry. You have the straight and blow dried, making sure that your hair is completely trimmed and it's evened out, so you have the opportunity to see exactly what it looks like. And then you can dust, or you can do the search and destroy. That may take you a couple of hours to do, but hey, it'll be done. And then if all else fails, call your stylist, get it done, because they are obviously well trained. They know what to do. They probably know your hair better than anything else, and they can do that for you. All right, so those are my tips. All right, so we went through why are we trimming our hair. Obviously, it's to make sure that your hair is healthy. You're maintaining that length that promotes hair growth. Not necessarily, I do not go right here and say, Raven told me if I trim my ends, then my hair gonna grow. That's not what I said. What I said is trimming your ends will help promote healthy hair, which coincides with hair growth. We kind of talked about how often we should trim. So we say anywhere between every once or twice a year, all the way up to about 5 times a year. Just kind of going with your hair and trying to figure out what you need and what works for you to make sure that your hair is maintaining moisture, maintaining length and fullness. We talked about, I have my notes, y'all. We talked about when you should trim. So what are you noticing in your regimen that, like, hey, okay, my head's shedding, I need to get a trim, or maybe I'm seeing more split ends, maybe my hair isn't holding a style as long as it should, and then how you should trim your ends. So those are my tips, guys. So what are you thinking? What do you have any questions? Anything that I didn't mention that you want to add, or maybe something I said and you're like, that's not what I heard, girl. I'm here. Let's talk about it. And again, if you guys don't currently follow me, I go by Araven, AYERAVEN, on all social media platforms. The only other thing is TikTok, and it's A_Raven. Make sure you follow me. I always share videos and tips. And I know somebody mentioned the products. If y'all want to talk about the products, we can. I talk about my favorite ones. Ah, thanks, Ebony. That's so sweet. Y'all made my first live fun. I was walking my cat. What is dusting? You know what? So dusting is just making sure that when you're going through your hair, instead of trimming the ends of your hair, you want to go through. So my hair's not straight, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, and I kind of need a trim right now. So you would just kind of straighten your hair out, and those pieces of hairs that are sticking out and aren't actually going down with the rest of it, you would want to go ahead and slip them. That would be dusting, and that would be for all of your hair. It's important to go ahead and section it and not just randomly sit here and go. That's not what we're going to do. What's my YouTube? My YouTube is Araven, AYERAVEN. It's a picture of me like this. Thank you. I'm so glad you liked the information. I'm glad you joined. So my heart is grabbing, and it's for anyone would be impossible. Please advise. I don't think it's impossible. Regardless of the length of your hair, if you have split ends, you'll be able to see it. So maybe dusting would be something that would be a little bit easier for you instead of going piece by piece and section it off. Those pieces that aren't aligning with the rest of your hair, it may be best for you to take some shears and just kind of trim it across, depending on how short it is. And it's probably not that short, girl. But I don't think that it's impossible. It's definitely possible. All right, what else we got? Let me see. Let me go through my notes. See what else I got. I hit it out. I hit it out in record time, honey. That's what I'm talking about. You're welcome. All right, going once, going twice. We're gonna get off of here. Any tips for dreads? So I call them locks. I don't call them dreads. I'm not gonna even sit here and try to act like I have any tips for any locks. I do not know anything about it, so I don't even want to put that in the atmosphere. That's not my ministry. So sorry. All right, guys. I'm late with it. So we were talking about dusting. So the whole thing, thank you, Ebony. All right, so we were talking about dusting, and we were saying we can always trim our ends, right? And you trim the ends of your hair. Dusting is going through and getting those extra pieces that aren't necessarily on the ends of your hair. So going back through, I'll show a little, this was my little experiment earlier. So making sure that your hair is either blown dried, is it blow dried or straightened, because that's the best way you can see it. Making sure your hair is completely straight, and you're dusting up for all of those extra pieces that are not going with the rest of your hair. Those hairs are probably damaged, they may be the split ends, and you're just dusting that off. So section by section, and making sure that you get those ends off. Any tips for growth? Moisture. I just recently had, well, it's not recently, it's been a year. I had my curly cut and my hair grew back pretty fast. And I can only say what I do, and I'm making sure that I'm deep conditioning. One of my favorite deep conditioners is Heal and Renew. That is Uncle Funky's daughters. I make sure that I'm deep conditioning weekly, if not weekly, every other week. I do a lot of twist outs, which is low manipulation. I do not like to manipulate my hair at all, because I like to keep it moisturized. I like to keep it fluffy, and all those different things. So making sure that your hair is moisturized, making sure that your ends are trimmed to retain that length. As long as you have a healthy regimen, I think you should be good. That's the most important thing. I don't think people understand the work that's behind natural hair, and it is a lot of work, but once you have the opportunity and you know exactly what you need to do to get the job done, your hair is gonna grow. Everyone's hair grows. You're just making sure that you are doing a healthy, moisturizing regimen weekly. If not weekly, I suggest every other week. It did. It definitely grew back fast. I looked at a picture the other day and was like, whoa, my hair grew back fast. And that's from doing twist outs. I keep my hair in mini twist most of the time because that maintains moisture. I'm not worried about my ends. They're cuffed, all these different things. And Heal and Renew, girl, that's a different type of, if you haven't used Heal and Renew, the deep conditioner, it's called a hair mask, I believe. You're missing out. It's something different. It changed the game, especially with the colder months coming. I'm gonna trim it. Yes, please let me know how that goes. Get your trim. Let me know what changes. If you see any difference in how you're styling your hair, come back, let me know. Just make sure you tell me. Don't forget to tell me. How short was it? So I had a curly cut. My hair was longer than this, actually. I have a picture on my page. I don't know. I had a curly cut. If you ever had a curly cut, which is another option, guys. So I didn't talk about that. So we have trims, and you also have your curly cuts, diva cuts, all these different things. But when you have those cuts, they cut up. So it's not necessarily a trim. They're cutting all of your hair up to shape it. So I chopped a good chunk of it off. it was different. It was different. So I don't know exactly how short it was, but it definitely was short. All right. I want to say thank you to every single person that has joined. I really appreciate it. Again, like I said, this is my very first live on anything, and you guys made it amazing. I hope that you enjoyed these tips at keeping your hair trimmed. Make sure that you continue to keep your hair trimmed at all times to maintain that length, maintaining that hair, because you want your hair to grow. If that is always, before I say that, always health before length. Okay, you want to make sure your hair is healthy before you want it down your back, because if it's not, then you just have hair down your back that's damaged. We don't want that. Let the men's go, sis. So make sure you come back next time. Follow me on all social media platforms, A Raven, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you. Thank you. All right, bye guys.